Welcome, folks. Welcome once again to Fly Spirited Away. Peace on earth, peace everywhere. So, today's topic is about utopia. A thought came in my mind that what if the world was a utopia, or rather, cherishing from God, make this world a utopian place. And soon I realized my mistake that I better be careful what I ask from the universe, because if it becomes true, it may not be a good thing. So today we're going to talk about what if the world is a utopia. Is it a good thing? I mean, you got to stick to the end to know more about it. But the answer is so interesting, and it's really going to baffle you. And there's always some learning from this experience. So let's get started. So you see, our Earth is a beautiful place. I mean, if there's a heaven and hell, if it exists anywhere, it exists on Earth itself. If you look at the skies, the birds, the trees, the mountain, the rivers, it's a beautiful, amazing place. If you just being at the right place, it's so beautiful. Recently, I just traveled to Hawaii, and I really said that if there's heaven on earth, it's here, it's only here. It's such a beautiful place, and you really get mesmerized by what you really see. That thing is so amazing. I mean, that's one side of the story. And there are so many other beautiful places, and you find beauties in different kinds in terms of animals. If you look at the elephant, the horses, I mean, they and the big bluefin fishes, orcas. I mean, they're all beautiful creatures, and they also live a very social life, like very human, and they stay together. It's an amazing thing to see. You see, these are really good things. What really Earth gives us to us. I mean, in two sense, you can call that hell. In two sense. I mean, that is the good piece of it, but there's the dark side of the story, that the way the whole nature has created is there's always a destruction piece attached to it. So yeah, the construction is there, but the destruction piece is attached to that. And you see the predator-prey relationship, and you would think, why would a predator need to eat the prey? Why God would create this way? But it makes sense. The relationship existed, and that's part of survival and sustenance, and it has been continuing for years, as it has been. And this kind of predator-prey relationship doesn't even apply to human being. It also applies to also our humanity in many ways. We look very social, and we look very smart, and we have come down to modern city. But if you just look, just open few layers and view it, I mean, many ways you feel that yes, the nature of the world is very narcissistic. So is our humankind too. Basically, it's a dog-eat-dog world, and the big corporation basically thrive from all the small consumers basically taking in, and there's a whole hierarchy based upon that thing. So in many ways, it is the similar thing what happened in nature. We have also brought into human, but in a much more delicate form. But it still exists on that way. But for the way the utopia came in my mind, but yes, there's a lot of destructions. If you look at the war happening in Ukraine, and the war existed in World War II, World War I, so many people died, and it's part of our history ever since the human generation existed. War has been a part of it. Destruction has been a part of it. At times, the war has been so big that even the whole civilization has wiped up, and we have to pretty much start from, in many ways, literally from scratch. Like we have to build the whole humanity from there. I mean, I have a good example from our Indian, like the Mahabharata, where so many entire civilization of men were really killed in that war. So the point is that destructive piece of nature is always there in it, and it's part of the cycle, right? And for a second I thought, what if the world was utopia? Why there was everyone happily ever after. Why there was, if there was no predator-prey relationship, and the world is as a gaga land where everyone is happy and the world very safe. What's wrong with that kind of idea? Why wouldn't God create a world like that? What's wrong with that? And that's why the utopia came in my mind. And soon I realized, no, that is not the right thing, and it will never work. So I'm just gonna dive a little bit more deeper into it today, right? So there was a scientific experiment was conducted. I think the scientist's name was Callahan, and he created an experiment on rat, right? Basically created a room by 9 by 5 or some kind of matrix, 5 meter, like a decent sized room, and he created a literally a heaven for rats in that small place, 10 by 10 meter, let's call that place. I don't know the exact dimension, but he created the exactly heavens for rat. It has all the food in the world you wanted, all the water, all the drinking, and all the shelter. Everything was there, close to for 3,000 rat family they can do, and they can live there happily ever after. It's sustainable. There is no predator there, so they feel free. They can do whatever in the world they wanted. It was a great experiment, and you don't know what would the result will come out until you listen to the end. So they started with only, I believe, two pairs of white mice, I guess, white rat, and every 55 years, every 55 days, the population really get doubled. So when you just initially had a seed of those two families, those two pairs, they start exploring the places and they settle down and they start breeding, and the new generations keeps on coming in, and every 55 days the population keeps on growing on. Things really were really going well. Like in the utopia world, everything was utopian, and everyone was in gaga land, everyone get they wanted, and things really went well. And this experiment lasted about few years. So but the point is that eventually what happens, that the population, by constantly growing up, it reached a kind of a critical point, I think close to about 2000 of red mouses, and it has a capacity well over 3,500 to 4,000. But when it reached close to 2,000, there's the whole population growth was happening, and all the rats basically start socializing with each other, and there's a great socializing was happening there, and that socializing creates its own problem, right? So then when that happens, when people are together, they start celebrating, and the joy and the nurturing and everything happens around that thing. But when there's too many population, there was jealousy, there was fighting, there was hogging of resources, all those fear, anxiety, everything starts happening around that thing. So when the population reached close to 2,000, so he started noticing it that they started fighting a lot, and each rat is biting another one's tail, and they are so badly beaten, and a lot of infighting happening. And the mother basically used to take care and nurture the kids in the initial days when they started the seed. But soon when they started reaching 2,000, they stopped not properly nurturing the babies. They don't take care of the babies very well. They give birth, they leave, and all kind of crazy. And you'll see, because of the strong fighting, you'll see the scars on their body all throughout. It seems like it's kind of a battlefield out there, like with 2,000, and that's how it really seems like. There was no predator, and yet when the population reached 2,000, there's crazy, and yet there's 4 more capacity. But you see, it already starts happening, and partly I think the Callahan concluded because of the socialization and the proximity of it, that basically led to this kind of behavior. Was that the end? No, the real thing is coming, right? But soon the mice population realized that this is what happening. As soon as they realized it, and a small section of the mice, basically they soon realized, and they discovered that there's no point fighting. There's no point. They keep on fighting for food, for sex, and for other things, for resources, and for dominance. And few of them realized, look, what's really happening? It doesn't really make any sense of them. So few of after in the few generations, few of them they really understood and they see what's happening around, and they completely gave up on fighting resources and everything. And they used to go climb up the chamber, and they used to simply stay by themselves. And they used to take care of their food, they used to take care of themselves, they used to come there, eat their food, they will not involve into any kind of sexual activity, nothing, simply eat their food, climb up, stay by themselves, do nothing, stay happy, stay contented, and nothing else. And that's how they started their behavior, their behavior change. And then only I'm talking about a small section of the thing. At the bottom of the section, people were all the rest were still kind of fighting, and for the dominance, and they were scratching each other out and biting each other still. That's still happening. So when Callahan realized it, and he really see those few of the sections sitting on the top of it, and they're saying how beautiful they were. Their fur was so beautiful because they used to take care of themselves so well, and they were not in any kind of fighting, and they're not into any kind of sexual activity. So they were simply happy, contented, and simply just did. Pretty much, I would say, modern life, they started kind of a monk lifestyle where they completely give up on life and just being an observer and just simply watch and just see the things around them, but they do not engage into the life, whatever happening below. They don't get engaged into that. Pretty much, Callahan called them a beautiful ones. I really think a monk is better name for that, because they're pretty much living a monk lifestyle by not engaging with anyone and just being by themselves. I mean, that's a better analogy around that. And so what really happened after that? So when he really saw the beautiful ones out there, so now you see there was clearly section defined. One is the bottom, kind of a hell, and where everyone is fighting for everything, and they're killing each other out. And on the top is kind of monks, or the beautiful ones. They are sitting there by themselves, not engaging into activity. So the bottom one are basically literally killing the population by themselves, by fighting and everything. They're literally killing their population by themselves. And soon they're really seeing the population starts really decreasing at a very fast pace. Until for the bottom one. So even though the population was increasing, their aggressive behavior, they did not change, right? I mean, they have all the resources, they can do whatever in the world, but now they still got used to the aggressive behavior. Even with a small section of the population, even the population has decreased, they continue to fight each other out, and that happened. And basically, pretty much, it's a whole decline of the population. So, but then the beautiful one remains, right? So Callahan really thought, maybe the beautiful ones are the smart ones. So maybe he think that let me take them out, let me put them in a separate cage, and perhaps they will start behaving the same one as we started the seed with, like behaving exactly the way it should be. But apparently he soon realized that for the monk or the beautiful one, it's a complete change of lifestyle. They will not engage into sexual activity. They will not deal with anything else, and they will stay by themselves even in a new environment. So they are not going to change their behavior. And what really happens, for the beautiful ones, the whole population died because there was no sustainable level, and the bottom one died just because they're fighting. Basically, the utopian world ended up in a complete decline of all population. So you see the heaven, you see the hell in just a miniature form, and you see how the utopian world basically caused the whole the whole red population to decline. So that was an interesting story. And so what does the experiment teach us as a humanity, right? Our Earth has limited resources. We are big, but our population is constantly growing, close to 8 billion right now. And And in many ways, is there any lesson to be learned from here? Like, is there a fate of humanity where we are going? Does that teach us anything? I mean, that is the crux of this whole experiment. So to see, this is purely a thesis, and it's just my viewpoint, and I could be incorrect in my ways, but that is how I'm speculating. That our human is still a very complex society. Yes, they can be compared with. I mean, they're very much common. We have very much animalistic senses, very common. What rat has it. So we have also very similar in many ways around that thing, but yet also we a very complex society. So, but the point is that the bottom line is this: that you see, when population starts growing, and in many ways we start behave in very similar ways to what rat has been doing. Partly, you see the World War One, World War Two, and partly fight. We had enough resources. We chose to fight. People fight for their ego, for land grabbing, for dominance, and for many other regions. They really fight around that thing. So, in many sense, that experiment applies to us too. And when you see when you see so much fighting and everything like that, people become more aware, especially if you look at some of the countries like by education, partly they become very aware, like Russia or Japan. They have a very declining population, and it's not even sustainable level. Like if you go few generation, and it's really not sustainable level, and they have been asking people to basically have more offspring so that they can continue it. And at many places in Russia, even the church really says that we will come personally to bless your child if you have a child. So they give them all the incentive to let the population grow. But once people become highly aware, and once people really see there is so many population and people dying, and a similar effects comes to them, and they're saying why we need to create it, why need to have more child. Even looking at my kids, they're saying, oh, why can't I really adopt it? Why I need to do it? There's enough people in the world and everything like that. And they started going with that kind of psychology, and that psychology is in many ways similar to what happened to the fate of all the mice in that experiment around that thing. So yeah, it leaves us with a profound message that yes, is the utopia is good, is utopian, it's cherishing good from utopia, is from God or from the universe, is it a great thing? And soon I realized, no, it is not. So the message I come at the end of it, that we have to come down, not on the extreme end of it, not on the extreme fighting of it, but we have to come down to the center of it. The center is the best position, where people can live in a very eco-friendly and in a very balanced, balanced with the nature, so in synergy with the nature, and it's a very sweet spot, right? So yeah, the extreme is not good. Both sides, the extreme is really not good. We definitely need some kind of fighting, some kind of the predator-prey relationship has to exist, but the point is that in a very balanced form, and we make sure that we don't really go on the extreme end of it. So coming to the center and coming to the middle, I think that is the solution. And perhaps from my God or from the universe, my next would be, please bring us all to the center. So for my message to you guys for today, stay close to the center. Guys, I hope you enjoyed it. Until next time, peace on earth, peace everywhere.